So I recently switched from the iPhone 14 to this Galaxy A35 around a month ago, and I had my reasons for why I did it that I will share in this video, and I will also share what my expectations were and how this phone has held up with them. Last year, when I visited this store nearby Chroma Digital, it had the Galaxy A54, and I really was intrigued by how good it felt in my hand and how closely it resembled the software on the flagship models like Galaxy S23 and the S23 Ultra. I I wished at that time I wished that I buy it, but then I also had recently bought the iPhone 14 at that time, so there was really no chance of switching to a new phone in such a short period of time. So I waited, and then this year Samsung launched its new phone, this Galaxy A35, which also has the same chipset of the Galaxy A54. So I was really interested, and then I am kind of very an impulsive buyer, so I went ahead, applied some discounts, and bought this Galaxy A35 because I heard that it has. I mean, Samsung advertised this having some great cameras um, and good software support and all that. So I went ahead and bought this. So all in all, I would say I wanted to experience the Samsung UI, and I feel um, this does the job pretty well. So I was hearing from a lot of reviewers and people that Samsung has been optimizing the software and it is getting better each year. So I wanted to experience it, and I feel they are correct. The Samsung software is really good nowadays, and it is very consistent, and they have also promised a lot of Android updates. I don't exactly remember, I think 4 years, so that is really good. So I feel like next phone that I will have. Now, also another thing is that I have given up on expensive phones like the flagship models. Now I bought this iPhone 14 for around 60-70,000, and I wanted to buy this because I knew it has some good camera for video recording, so that's what I did. But other than that, I think I will now buy a flagship device later on after 2-3 years. I will keep buying these uh, slightly less expensive or cheaper models, as we say, like the Galaxy A series or the Pixel A series, because I find them more interesting for some reason. So if you are also into that, stay tuned to the channel because I will be sharing more of those. So I really like it when companies put their best software and performance from their flagship models to their mid-range or lower price models. iPhones, I think the iPhone does it best no matter what it says. Pixel devices also try to do the same with the camera, but other than the camera, Pixel devices, even their flagship models, they have their own problems. So when they try to cut down their cost for the mid-range models like the 7A or the 6A, things get even worse. But Samsung also does it. Samsung did it with the Galaxy A35, but I think there is something seriously wrong with Samsung and how it treats different markets. For example, how we in India do not ever receive the, I mean, sometimes we do, like the S23, we did get the Snapdragon chipset. So when Samsung does not give the best performance that it has, even when they're charging more from us, it just does not look so good, right? We have on the S24 model in India, we have the Exynos variant, and if you really go into it and research on the internet, you will find that the Exynos variant of the S24 is slightly worse than the S23 Snapdragon that we had last year. So, and the prices hasn't gone down. It is selling at around 80,000 as of now. So it really baffles me how Samsung pulls this off. But anyway, let's talk about this device and how it has held up to my expectations. So when I bought this, uh, my expectations weren't pretty high. I knew this was coming with Exynos, so I know the battery would not be so well, the camera will not be so well, and the performance, of course, we should not talk about it. Gaming and everything. I don't game, but I do slight testing for the purpose of the review, and I would like to say there are some. Let's start with the good things that I feel about this phone. So one of the best things of this is of course the screen. This is a 144 hertz AMOLED display, and this is very sharp. I enjoy the screen. I think this is at par with my iPhone 14, and I don't find anything wrong with this. The thing is, in order to save some battery, I use most of my phones at 60 hertz, even if they support 144 hertz. So that's what I am doing here as well. So if you look at it at 60 hertz, I did try setting it to 144 hertz, and the thing is, it almost every time it either runs at 60 fps or it starts to lag in some cases. So if you're scrolling through the UI of the phone, like the home screen and everything, 144 hertz is fine, but as soon as you enter an app such as YouTube or even the inbuilt apps like Samsung, or they keep fluctuating from 60 hertz to 144 hertz. And if you see that breakage of frame rate happening, it kind of hurts the eye. It kind of looks like things are freezing in between. Your touch response is not as consistent. It just feels very weird. So it'll be better if, so I mean, that's how I feel is better to that I keep it at 60 fps in order to feel that it is consistent somewhat. Another thing that I also like about this is the speaker. It has a really good stereo setup. The sound separation is good, and it also has some of the depth. Of course, it's not as good as the flagship models like S23 or the iPhone 14 also, but yeah, it does the job. Like if you're listening from a phone, you don't expect too much, right? So that way it does well. It also gets pretty loud. Now, the software on this is also something that I really enjoy. Now, there was a time when did not have Samsung wasn't reputed for good software support. It had that TouchWiz, which which was kind of very bad at that time. But recently, I had been hearing that Samsung is really working on the UI that they have, One UI, and they are constantly improving and giving updates. So it is true, the OS has really refined a lot with this one, and I think at this point it is really very consistent, and you will never feel like it is not at par with other operating systems like the Google Pixel. And this is also now onboarded some of the features that I really enjoyed on some of the custom ROMs. Like when the phone is off, I can long press on the volume up button to switch to next song, and volume lower button to switch to previous song. Now these you can also customize these settings, and you can also customize a lot of other things, like when you double tap on this power button when the phone is off, and a lot of things like that. So that way I feel the UI is really good. And of course you can also remove any bloat. It did come with some of the bloatware, and you can still remove or disable most of them, but some still stick with the phone, like Samsung's inbuilt apps like Samsung Pass or some. They you cannot remove them, and they still stick around. So in terms of connection, I do like that these also have NFC, so you can use the tap to pay option, add your cards, and do the same. And I also really like the network reception on these. So in fact, I feel like these are on par with my iPhone. In fact, in some cases, I have felt like the iPhone is not as good when I go into the corners of my flat. So I haven't tested it thoroughly, but I feel like it is at least at par or even better than my iPhone in terms of network reception. One more thing that I would like to point out about the UI is that how Samsung had integrated the one feature that I liked on the iPhones with the widgets. You can stack multiple widgets and then switch like this on the home screen for switching to a different. I removed the next one, but yeah, so that is a really good thing. And in fact, this looks even better than it did on my iPhone. You can see uh, like this, it doesn't even feel like you have another thing on here, but as long as you switch, you will see that it has more. So it works flawlessly, and yeah, I think it is a really good feature that they've added. And of course, how can we not talk about good lock and how versatile it is in order to customize the UI. You can really modify a lot of things here. You can customize how the recent apps stack up. I have done mine like the iPhone, and you can also change how the home screen looks, how the lock screen looks, and a lot of things. So that way, I feel Samsung or the community of Samsung have done a really good job. I also like the fact that they have put all their physical buttons on one side, and you do also have a kind of a island situation going on over here, so that you can always feel that this is the side where the buttons are. So coming to the things that I expected more from this phone. So these are not necessarily bad, but I think I expected more. And one of the things is the performance. Now this isn't even the cheapest phone by Samsung. This is next to the flagship models. Like we have the S series, and then we have the A series. So I expected the performance to be closer to the flagship models, at least in terms of the fundamental things like calling or using WhatsApp and etc. So the thing is, this does the job, but even when you're doing these fundamental activities, it drops some frames which do not look good, because I paid some amount for this phone, right? This is not cheap. So when I'm making a call, or I'm opening YouTube, I'm opening any slightly heavier app, it starts to drop some frames. So it does not look good. But I think that I hope, I mean, I wish it could have been better, or they can fix it with some software. But I feel like it's the crippled Exynos processor that makes it do so, because uh, I don't know why. I really don't know why Samsung just keeps on manufacturing and puts an R&D in Samsung, and this has been going on for years now, 10 years. I don't even know. And I don't think they have ever achieved something slightly better than their. I don't think they have ever been able to achieve something which is really valuable in terms of performance. The Exynos have always underperformed the Snapdragon counterparts. So it, I, I really wish Samsung put in a better processor in this one, because the software is fine, but you will see that because of that Exynos processor, it starts dropping some frames here and there, so it does not feel good. Another thing is that I do sometimes enjoy music with some of my high quality headphones, but for some reason, I connected my Bluetooth enabled device which do support aptics, but I could not find aptic support on these. Now I went on the internet and searched if Exynos models do support aptics, and they do. It does not matter if the device is Exynos or Snapdragon, it should have that aptic support, but for some reason I can't find them in the Bluetooth section or the settings section. It might be hidden somewhere else. So if you know, you can share it to me in the comments. But yeah, as of my research, I could not find any settings related to aptics. So one more thing that I would like to add that I forgot while recording this video is how bad this performs with camera centric apps like Snapchat or Instagram. It just, like, when I had this iPhone, I was using Snapchat like anything. It was my go-to app for talking to people. But as soon as I started using this Galaxy A35, it just feels like I'm starting to drift away from Snapchat because of how bad this works on this Android. Now, I do remember there was a time when Snapchat used to work really bad on Android phones, but that is not just the case, because I have also used the Snapchat on other phones like uh, the Galaxy S23 or the Pixel devices, and even some of these Chinese phones, and it works pretty fine. But for some reason, it sucks on this phone. So yeah, there's that. So one more interesting thing that I would like to add is this the size and the dimension of the screen is the one from the iPhone 13 Pro Max. This exactly is the size of an iPhone 13 Pro Max. Now I say that because the tempered glass that I have on here is the one from an iPhone 13 Pro Max. So yeah, there's that. And that, as you know, is a very big phone. So all in all, I would say I wanted to experience the Samsung UI, and I feel um, this does the job pretty well. So I was hearing from a lot of reviewers and people that Samsung has been optimizing the software, and it is getting better each year. So I wanted to experience it, and I feel they are correct. The Samsung software is really good nowadays, and it is very consistent. And they have also promised a lot of Android updates. I don't exactly remember. I think four years. So that is really good. So I feel like next phone that I will have. Now also another thing is that I have given up on expensive phones like the flagship models. Now I bought this iPhone 14 for around 60-70,000, and I wanted to buy this because I knew it has some good camera for video recording, so that's what I did. But other than that, I think I will now buy a flagship device later on. After 2-3 years, I will keep buying these uh, slightly less expensive or cheaper models, as we say, like the Galaxy A series or the Pixel A series, because I find them more interesting for some reason. So if you are also into that, stay tuned to the channel, because I will be sharing more of those.